Right.
Buenas, buenas.
Luis Canela is known not only in Denver, but I'll tell you internationally. Luis Canela, good friend of mine, like you said. We can go back forth just giving each other props, but you have been such a mainstay in Colorado, especially in Denver, and I can think of three things that touches people's hearts that you've been a part of. One is the Colorado State Fair,
yes,
the parade, the National Western Stock Show, and then of course the Spanish voice of los Denver Broncos.
Los Broncos, man.
And the Rockies, the Colorado Rockies.
You know, you hit something very special there, Paul. First of all, I'd like to go back a couple of years, the first time I met you.
Yes, let's go ahead.
I was in high school.
No way.
I was in high school, seriously.
Wow.
I grew up in Vail,
okay.
Vail, Colorado. And up there, I was listening to, the Archies, Sugar Sugar.
That's going way back.
That kind of music.
Right.
But then on the weekends when we would come up here, I would turn it on and I would follow you, and I really wanted to meet you for the longest time.
Are you talking about KDKL?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we would go to the Bronco games, you know, and as things turned out, I went up to UNC up in Greeley to study mass communications.
Right.
But I would still follow you.
That's cool.
And at the same time, someone said, you know, have you ever thought of going into radio? And I'm like, not really, but my road, just like yours,
right,
always took a turn. If we wanted to do something, like, I don't know, become a doctor or something would pull us back into broadcasting.
Right, right.
So someone says, this radio station is looking for a bilingual DJ. You know,
right.
Well, I'm like, well, I don't speak that much Spanish, but I'll try.
Right, right.
So I went to the top of the hill over at
Ruby Hill.
Ruby Hill.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like a castle up there.
You did.
White buildings and everything, security everywhere.
Uh-huh.
They had dogs outside and chains. Híjole. You have to be careful.
Right.
And I could not get in.
Wow.
I could not get in.
To KBNO.
And I did look through the window though, and you were on the air.
Oh, okay.
And the room was filled with people.
Wow.
And I said, I just want to say hi to him.
Right.
And the receptionist says, you know, it's like that all the time. That booth is always filled. We don't even know who the people are that are in there with him, but he's always jam-packed. But that was the first time I actually saw it. It was like seeing the Wolfman.
Oh, Luis.
The Wolfman, right? And he's got that
pity for you after the show.
He's got this rhythm going, right? And you know what? I always wanted to do a promo for you, but by the time that you and I started working together at KBNO, it was a little bit too late because this was for the KDKO era.
Right, right.
And it was something like this. You got a little bit of music there?
I do. Let's play some.
It's like a.
Let me do this.
It's like a little intro, and then you come in with some. I know that you were into Power Tower. I know that.
Tower Power, definitely. Yeah. Yes, Tower Power.
Yeah. As the night arrives, the #1 DJ national. Rhythm and Blues, Paul Chavez. The Night Rider takes control.
All right. That's good. I like that.
That's $50.
That's $50 for sure. Luis Canela, let's talk about you, my brother. Man, I remember us when we were at Univision. You know, we did our radio stuff. I went over and I went into Univision to go sell advertising. You were on the air. And I still remember the first time you did your first news brief. You know, doing news on television is relatively very expensive. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Irma Rico was the general manager, and she thought of this, or you, or Mr. Oye, ¿cómo va? What's his name?
Tony Velasco.
Tony Velasco.
Yeah.
Tony Velasco. We said, we got to come up with a news brief, man.
Mm-hmm.
Telemundo's killing us,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So I went, you typed them out with about 50 point letterings on there.
And I still couldn't see.
And wait a minute, here's the fun part. I was his teleprompter. I would be holding the teleprompter, you know, because he didn't have an actual teleprompter. I'd be holding it as he was reading, okay? So yeah, I'd be going like this and rolling up, and half the time we'd be laughing, so we'd take so many takes because we would just have fun. It was not really work, it was fun, wasn't it?
And that roller was actually, what is that for?
It was for paper towels.
Paper towels, that's what we used. It was funny, man.
It goes to show you how we went along. And from there we went down to 6th and Grant. We were up in Lakewood.
Mm-hmm.
We went to 6th and Grant, and by that time we had a full-fledged studio. You were all the way live.
Ooh.
And you were buying suits every week. This guy was just continually buying suits, deep into sports, into Rockies, Nuggets, Broncos, into soccer. And there's nothing that he didn't know that he touched. And he'd always manage to call me in the studio and say, check this out. Well, the tryouts of the Denver Broncos cheerleaders.
Now, that's the only time I had a booth full of people.
Right.
When they were doing the outtakes of the cheerleaders. But you know what, Paul? You and I actually are the only ones in Latino media that have worked both sides.
Absolutely.
I mean, you had the first bilingual show.
With Dave Gallegos.
A long time ago. I mean, you guys were number one. I couldn't believe that you were beating the number one station with your ratings.
At that time is Y108.
Yeah.
And we were making some noise, man, definitely. And I think it was just the right timing at the time. Of course, some community leaders didn't believe in having Coors as a sponsor, but that's another story.
Yeah. At that time, yeah.
But nevertheless, yes, the Latin Connection took off. Of course, that's when we were bringing in Tierras and Malos and coming off the Billboard Music Awards and all that. And people see these groups now, and I'm like, dude, there's only one left of that group. Well, the rest of them, God, have them in peace. But yeah. They already checked out. But anyway, Luis, let's talk about you.
I noticed that the hardest thing for a broadcaster is to talk about himself.
Absolutely. Well,
that's why I keep throwing it to you.
I know, right? Yeah, we're kind of playing mind gymnastics here.
No, I'll tell you. The funnest time was actually when we were working together and we were writing history. Irma Rico was general manager at Univision, and she just let us loose. In other words, I mean, we wanted to do a lowrider show. Boom. Illich Gardens is the place to be. Remember that?
Yes.
I mean, I had the opportunity to broadcast the first Nugget game in Spanish.
Wow.
Colorado Rockies. Before that, we were following also the Bears.
The Bears.
Remember the Bears?
Yes.
Do you remember the Foxes? And later on, they became the Colorado Rapids.
Rapids, yes.
We did both of them also.
Right.
First one to do that in Spanish, and then, of course, the first one to be calling the Broncos in Spanish since the 80s.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's a long time. You know what I had? I only missed 2 Super Bowls.
Wow.
And those were the first 2 because I was sick.
Wow.
Or else I would have called those 2 games.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just amazing. Now, being calling games in particularly, but being at a Super Bowl, I've never even been there. Tell me about that.
It's adrenaline. It's adrenaline. It's energy. Nobody wants to go to sleep. Everybody wants to be talking about what's going to happen. They want to meet the guys. They want to meet the cheerleaders. They want to meet the coaches. They want to meet everybody. All of a sudden, somebody says, "Are you anybody?" No.
You're somebody now.
She took a picture of me anyway. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, the last one when we were in California, and it was Super Bowl number 50.
Oh.
It was a fiesta atmosphere. Now,
a lot of Latinos.
Oh my gosh, yes. You know, a lot of people don't really know where the new stadium is located. It's in Santa Clara, which is about 2 hours away from San Francisco.
Oh shoot! Yeah.
And they call it the home of the 49ers.
49ers.
And when that idea came through, I mean, it upset the entire region.
I bet.
People had to drive 2 or 3 hours to go see a home game of the San Francisco 49ers.
It'd be like us driving to Pueblo.
Yeah, and that's where they were. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And with imagine California traffic.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that's where in Santa Clara is where they had the Super Bowl. But it was incredible. The entire everybody of who's who in the business was there. I have a picture that I have to share with you later on.
You do.
I never knew that I looked like Tim Tebow.
All right, there you go, Tim
We
Tebow.
have a picture together, and we look like we're almost twin brothers.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to definitely have to share that with us.
Yeah.
You talk about adrenaline, you talk about the rush, and let's talk about what's going on with you now. You've got Luis Canela and Canela Media making movies, television shows, and voiceover. ¿Qué onda con eso?
Well, I wasn't satisfied with, close to 42 years in the business.
And on TV.
TV, 20,
Okay, you
29.
did an Univision for what?
27.
27 years.
Yeah.
Then you went to Telemundo.
Telemundo, so we're talking 2 more years there.
Right.
Almost 2 years.
Right.
And after that, I took a couple of months off. Paul, being in television, being on radio, is that you have to do a lot of homework.
Right.
And unfortunately, you have to be spending a lot of time with yourself because you have to look for information.
Right.
For a long time there, I was doing, imagine this, 5 o'clock and 10 o'clock, I was doing the newscast in El Paso, Texas.
Wow.
Albuquerque.
Wow.
New
My
Mexico.
hometown. Uh-huh.
You're talking about Kansas City.
Wow. Out of Denver, you would do them for there, or you?
And I'm not done yet.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
It also ran in Monterrey, California, San Francisco. We're also talking Reno, Las Vegas, and Denver, 5 and 10 o'clock. Imagine how I was running every single day.
and trying to act like you live in the city and knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
And knowing the names of the streets.
Yeah.
Like even here,
Yeah.
even our newscasters here, I won't mention any names, they don't say Tijon, they say Tijon.
Tijon.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it pisses people off because they're from that region, that little
Right.
town, and they're like, no, ese cabrón no sabe
Yeah.
extensión. Por eso podemos hablar lo que queremos
There you go.
on FaceTime, Facebook,
There you go.
and all that good stuff. So you were doing 5 different cities, news on...
Sometimes more, yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, because again, if someone was sick at any other market, I was the filler also there. So,
My
but it was really interesting. I mean,
quite a challenge, obviously.
I would get there when it was dark, and I would go home when it was dark. So I kind of, I think maybe you can relate to this. I feel like I lost 20 years somewhere.
Yeah, because you were just in the dark.
Yeah.
You were in the dark. Well, quote unquote, right? I mean, yeah, waking up in the morning. I mean, I've never experienced that. Yeah, I've always taken it easy, bro.
Yeah.
I go do my show, do my 4 hours, get my production done, and make it, man.
Yeah.
You know, I used to love doing overnights at KDKO because I used to go in when there was no traffic at 11 o'clock, and used to get out at 6 o'clock when traffic was just beginning. And then, of course, I was part of the weekend wrecking crew, and that was, not too much traffic. But then you start doing rush hour and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you've done all the shifts yourself. So,
But you know what? Of all this, I get to tell you something. You did it by leading a team,
thank you.
which is one of the hardest things to do.
It's tough.
You have to be at least 4 or 5 steps ahead of your team.
Right, exactly. And if anybody knows, Luis. It's been tough. I found my home here, 6 years here at KUHS, and I'll tell you what, this thing is just growing by leaps and bounds. People, when I first started, Henry used to call me and say, hey, come, you want to do a show? What are you at, in the basement or what? Is it stuttering? Is the music fluttering and all that? And boy, was I in for a surprise. Stream radio's where it's at, brother.
Right.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can play as long as you want.
Mm-hmm.
You can play commercials if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to. That kind of thing. But stream radio is really exciting. Let's talk about what you're doing right now, bro.
I like that live sign.
You like that?
We're live.
Is that live? Orale.
Yeah, I'm alive.
Yeah, we're live.
What am I doing? Well, I tell you what, you mentioned something earlier also about the National Western Stock Show.
Yeah.
And also the Pueblo, Colorado State Fair. I am the rodeo announcer at both events, and a lot of people are like, "You are a rodeo announcer?"
Yeah. In Spanish.
Yeah, I bilingual.
Bilingual
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm the first bilingual rodeo announcer ever in the history. in Colorado here.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that.
We do a couple of shows around the country with Jerry Diaz and his Extravaganza Mexicana.
Yeah.
We're talking mariachis, dancers, everyone's dressed as charros and damas with the Adelita dress, you know, the colorful dress, and
Yes,
then
yes.
the mariachi's going crazy,
Yes.
and the crowd is going crazy. We're doing the wave and everything. I mean, it's totally different from the American rodeo. We just sit there and here comes the action. Mientras, this is me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
El charro se prepara. Recuerde, damas y caballeros, que cuando se abre el cajón, usted grita 100% que soy mexicano. Ahí viene, abre el cajón, ahí más, viene corriendo. Agárralo, hermano, agárralo. Bájalo por todo lado. You know, there's dust all over the place and people are going crazy.
And you don't know if the guy's still on because you can't see it.
Yeah,
The guy's
it's
back.
and the guy's like, go right already. Get me out of here. No, but you know, broadcasting in Spanish it's more emotion.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And being at the National Western Stock Show, it kind of put me in a place that I've always wanted to be. I always wanted to do that ever since I saw Mr. Sandoval. Do you remember?
Hey,
Mr.
you know, Sandoval
Yeah.
taught us all a
Yeah.
few things. And,
Jorge Sandoval.
Jorge Sandoval,
Yeah.
God bless his soul. And I'll tell you what, he's the one that got me, I mean, Ed Romero, thanks to him,
Yes.
got me in the business.
Yes.
But he you know, he says, here's Paul, teach him how to do, how to operate stuff and stuff. And Jorge tells me, look, I don't know you from China. He says,
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you once and only once, and if you don't get it, I'm going to fire you.
Ooh.
I had to learn it that way. Bro, you know?
A story of Jorge Sandoval, ladies and gentlemen, was very well known. He was a master of ceremonies of masters of ceremonies.
Oh, yeah.
How's
That
that? He
guy,
was the
yeah.
master.
Yes.
And I kind of hung out with him because I told him, you know, I like to do what you do.
Yes.
He goes all over the region and he talks about different subjects, and he's not only the master of ceremonies, but at the same time he's kind of like a teacher
Right.
of what's going on and about our culture. And I really didn't know that much. I tell you, this is going to crack you up, but it's the truth. At UNC up in Greeley, I don't know why, Paul. Maybe it's because I have really good taste, but all my girlfriends
Girls.
were the captains of the cheerleading squads.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know why.
I just don't know.
There was this captain up at UNC, Latina,
Uh-huh.
beautiful, just beautiful.
I think I know where you're going with
Yes,
this. Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
And I got really shy. I mean, tongue-tied. And one of my best friends says, you know, I have a class with her, and I found out that there's going to be a meeting.
Nuanes.
Yes. And so, what kind of a meeting? Oh, this guy's coming up from Denver. He's going to talk about something. But I'll save you a seat if you want to go. And I'll sit right next to her. So your seat's going to be right next to her and me. So there I show up, right? And this room is crowded, and there's only one seat that is available.
Right.
And it's right next to this beautiful girl and my friend. I sit down, and I'm all nervous. And just as I sit down, George Sandoval walks up, takes the podium, and he demands attention immediately, just by his gestures.
Yeah, he commands it. Yes.
And the first question is this. Remember, I grew up in Vail, where for a certain time you could not speak Spanish.
Right.
Because the family had to do business with the fathers of the city.
Right.
So I grew up not speaking Spanish.
Right.
Although I am from Mexico. I
There you
grew
go.
up in Mexico.
Mhm.
But I was born in Mexico, grew up in Vail. So anyway, by the time I'm at UNC, I really don't know my language. And the first thing out of George's mouth is, do you know your language? And everyone raises their hand.
Oh boy.
Except me. And this girl looks at me like, uh-oh. Second question. How many of you know your culture? Everyone raises their hand except me. Oh my God. And this girl, by this time, she's giving me her espalda already. You know, she's giving her back. And then George says, and he raises his fist, clutches his fist.
Like Chicano power.
And he says, does anybody know what this is? And everybody says, Chicano power. And I'm like, who?
What? I'm from Vail, man.
That's how I met George.
Wow.
And to tell you, I'll make it really brief. I got married to that girl. George and I spoke afterwards, and he says, you know, I'm looking for a bilingual. He was the one that was looking for the bilingual DJ.
Right, right.
So he invited me up to Denver, and unfortunately, by the time I got there, about a year later, he had gone on to pursue a Spanish channel, which later on turned out to be Channel 31 here in Denver.
Fox Channel 31.
Yeah.
Where our good friend Greg Nieto resides at.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, what a show you guys put on together.
Oh yeah, we have fun.
You guys are a good combo.
Yeah, we have fun.
Yeah.
Greg Nieto and myself. So that happened, and so that was brought you to Denver. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, I followed my girlfriend up from UNC up to Denver, and then we started living together about 6 months later. Yeah.
You honest?
And but I was cooking at the same time.
Oh.
So that was kind of like
I bet you were cooking.
I was. Yeah. You know, when I was growing up in Vail, there was 3 things you could do:
Right.
ski,
Ski,
go to school, or work.
or work.
I did all 3 of them.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
that's when the ski pass, you're gonna flip on this one, was only $25,
Oh my God.
which now is, oh my goodness. You know, it's like I think you might not be able to pay your mortgage, which with the money that they're requiring not to go ski.
Yes, that's true.
But I had great opportunities growing up.
I'm gonna throw some things at you, and I'm gonna just throw it out there, and then you know how they say one song creates 1,000 memories.
Yeah.
Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Ski Fiesta.
Oh.
What does that remind you of?
It reminds me of taking a large group of people, Latinos mainly, who were very much interested in skiing. And the ski industry, along with a very popular beer company, got together with...
Budweiser, we could say it.
Can we say Budweiser?
Yeah. You can say whatever you want. Any station. There you go.
You know what? Those were the great years because I not only crossed over to what you were doing, but at the same time, you and I got so much out of it. We participated. We were the ones that brought in bands. We were the ones that brought in the party mood.
That's right.
As soon as we started that thing, I mean, the party was on, and it was on for 3 days, non-stop. Do you remember those days?
I do.
Oh my God! But you know, it was great. It was an introduction to ski, but at the same time, it was an introduction for me to get to know the other side, what was going on in the English-Spanish side.
You know what? I actually found a clipping from the Rocky Mountain News where you, myself, and Coach Mike Shanahan were doing a raffle.
Yes.
And I sent you the picture. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I did.
And I was like, wow, man, that's going way back. It was Luis, myself, of course, little lighter, darker with the hair, and a little younger and all that stuff. But that's going back, and that's the first time I realized that Shanahan had a glass eye.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna love this. You're probably wondering why my hair is white.
Yeah. What's up with that?
I'm an actor.
You're an actor now.
I'm also an actor.
All right.
I did a little thing here lately, and it required a little blonde hair. So since I was, maybe 20-ish, I really liked the look of the guy, an officer and a gentleman, Richard
Gere.
Richard Gere.
Yeah.
I liked his fluffy hair, and then he was kind of white and stuff like that. Well, when I got into a contract, broadcasting contract, I could not change my look.
Right.
So I had to maintain the bigote, the mustache, and the good-looking hair of his sportscaster.
Yes.
Pero that's what I did finally. What am I doing right now? Well,
like Gary Cruz, remember from Channel 9?
That's right. That's right. Okay, I was in California. Believe it or not, he's still in television.
Are you serious?
He's still doing
Gary
sports.
Cruz is still doing it?
He's still doing it.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This we're talking about 5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what am I doing? Well, I am owner of this company called Canela Media, and I am partial owner of a movie company.
Nice.
And we're currently working on a fabulous movie that takes place in La Frontera.
Okay.
And it deals with what actually happens when one tries to escape. And unfortunately, things don't turn out. I can't tell you anymore because it's
Interesting.
It has to come out, and you'll see.
Is it a movie made for Netflix or?
It is, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, because Netflix is in Albuquerque,
Did you read what's going on here?
No. I'm just saying because I figure Netflix is getting all the good movies now, and people really aren't doing movies at all. Well, I make a pretty good cholo and a drug dealer.
Andale, we're looking for one. So, as a matter of fact, Nuevo Mexico is the only state in the union right now that is offering deals and also inviting movie production companies to come out.
That's why they're doing a lot.
Yeah. So we're filming a lot of this in New Mexico.
Right.
It's supposed to be taking place in Juarez, but I mean the studios in Albuquerque.
Interesting.
Work perfectly. We're going to go to Miami to shoot this. We stopped. You're not going to believe this. We were supposed to begin on the 26th of March.
Okay.
And then one day later, boom, everything stopped.
Coronavirus.
Hollywood stopped.
Corona.
So Hollywood hasn't worked, and they're going to be reopening on the first of the year, and that's when we are also going to be starting that. But aside from that, I'm working with a couple of really talented people doing television shows here and there, and I'm doing voiceovers. I'm doing a lot of master of ceremonies still. I was very happy to receive the #1 regional master of ceremonies.
I believe it.
English and Spanish.
I believe it, and you deserve it. You deserve the Simpatico Award.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Luis Canela, I remember this back in the 90s. We both of us went, and I just tagged along with you. You were the master of ceremonies, and I just kind of grabbed another mic and threw my 2 cents in there in Pueblo, Colorado.
Oh, we had a great time.
In Pueblo, Colorado, and we went to, of course, the actual parade, and checked that out. Of course, the Queen and all of that, and I just got all caught up with you. But you owned that, man. That's all you.
I've been there for 25 years.
Wow.
25 years doing that.
Amazing.
25 years doing the rodeo also. But that, I remember that because I was the straight man and you would come in with the joke.
Yeah.
I would set you up.
Yeah.
And then, boom.
Yeah. And that's just the way the biz is. Let's get back to sports real quick.
All right.
What was last year you weren't doing Broncos?
Right.
50?
50. That was what, 3-4 years ago?
That was about 5 years ago.
About 3 like that.
So that was your last.
That was my last year. The reason being is that the Broncos usually take 3 years or 4 years here, and then they change to someone else.
Right.
So I have not been involved with them for a couple of years, although they still consider me a Bronco family.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you're in, you're in.
Well, here's what happened. We took a little vacation from the Broncos in the 90s. No, excuse me, beginning the 2000s. Reason being is that we were moving. There was a lot of things to do. As I was telling you earlier, that I was doing so many markets at the same time. I really didn't have time either.
Right.
But we came back and had an excellent crew. Rafael Medina, Nelson Galicia, and a couple of other folks made up the team. We traveled with the Broncos. We were part of the team. We traveled with him on the airplane. We stayed with him in the hotels. Great stories to tell.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. How did they accept you? Them knowing that you're the Mexicanos doing the stuff in Spanish. Like, would the brothers say, "Hey, orale," say anything like that?
They did. As a matter of fact, because. Again.
How did Von Miller treat you is what I want to know.
Von Miller's like el mejor amigo that one can have.
Are you serious?
Oh man, he would come over and start hanging out with us and start singing some songs he had heard. The crossover stuff that was going on. Right. He would come over and start dancing with us. I mean, we were live also on the television. at that time, and he would come over and say, "Hola, amigos,"
He would say
and
stuff.
then he would just all the guys would come around because again we were with him for the longest time.
Sure.
And we had this incredible relationship. The shock for me, one of the first things that I remember being on the Bronco airplane is that the media would come in sitting first,
Right.
and then the guys would come in slowly and take their seats. I couldn't believe, again, I see the Broncos all the time with their uniforms on.
How big they are.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you see them coming in without their shoulder pads and everything, and all you see is muscle.
Muscle.
Muscle, muscle.
Meat and muscle.
I went to an event where the Avalanche were.
Uh-huh.
Same thing.
Right.
And these guys were like toothpicks.
Twigs.
Yeah. What happened?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, these
So that
guys
was a
are
shock.
running hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had to get that out there. Now, now you've got stuff going on your own.
Mhm.
What is the master plan for Luis Canela in the next 5 years?
Master plan is to start my own television channel. It's gonna be called Canela.
Nice.
Canela is my last name. It means cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
My good friends call me Cinnamon Buns.
That's all the girls.
So that's the master plan, and the master plan is to actually do a couple of movies here and there, television shows here, and of course continue being part of the community. I'm very honored to be an individual that it has been accepted by all groups in our community, because I have been there to represent them on the podium and to congratulate their not only historic events, but at the same time individual efforts that they have given to our community, making our community even better. So that's my plan, is to continue doing that as long as Paul Chavez lets me.
I'll let you.
Thank you, sir.
Now, along the way, I'm sure there's a lot of people you want to thank. You've got the platform. We're on 10 different platforms around the world, and this
Wow.
is going to be viewed over and over. And I'm sure there's a couple of people you want to thank out there, Luis. Come on, man. Hey, we lost Frank Ponce. You heard about that, right?
Yes.
That was sad.
I was going to tell you that.
Con Latinoamericano, man. I used to listen to that thing and just take it all in. We're talking about a DJ over at KBNO that used to do, I think it was on Tuesdays from 10 to 11 o'clock, El Show for Con Latinoamericano. Has his own furniture store over on Federal next to the Broncos Stadium.
He's got the view.
Ponce Furniture.
Yeah.
Now he's got the master view.
You know-
and I had Ed Romero in studio.
Oh,
doing
did
a-
you really?
Yeah.
Another legend.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had him doing a commemoration for,
I've noticed
Frank
that.
Ponce.
I've noticed that instead of saying old guy or a guy from the past, you just say legend.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to, because, he's the one that actually got me into radio, so I got to give him all the love in the world talking about Ed Romero.
But you are correct in saying that, because they are pillars of our community.
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
And,
So Frank Ponce was also part owner of KBNO Radio.
yes, he was.
And he had this incredible voice.
Oh, my
Very
God.
deep voice.
Oh, my God.
Very direct, and the music he played was outstanding. I mean, music I've never heard before in my life. As a matter of fact, I would just sit there with him in the room and just take it in and saying, one of these days I'll be that good.
And
Never was.
And he would create, it's talking about theater of the mind.
Mm.
This guy would create a story about this country that deep in, Latin American countries, and you would learn from it.
Yes.
And get entertained. He was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people traveled South America and also Europe because of his program. Talking about Ed Romero, a great guy. As a matter of fact, he makes me laugh every time I see him at events. He comes up to me and he says, and he whispers and he says, "Remember, I am a pillar of the community, and my name is Ed Romero." Okay? Okay.
Yeah.
And then he walks away.
That's all he would say. Yeah.
And then I would get up there, to the pillar of the community, Ed Romero, and then he would act all surprised, "Oh, Luis, you remembered me."
So I remember this one meeting that we had. It was a general meeting for sales and everybody in the studios and everything, and he'd say, we really have to buckle down in what we're spending, And he goes, "Here, let me sign this." "Oh man, you buy this $100 pens, they don't work." And I'm saying, okay, so much for spending. It's crazy. So
man.
once again, we're talking about Luis Canela.
It's magic.
It's you, man. It's I am just thrilled to have you in studio. So you got the 5-year program. You've got you've obviously got something going here. You know.
Well, you know, it's very unique what I do. First of all, if you can imagine me in a mariachi suit or a charro suit, totally different. Mariachis wear more bling
Right.
around,
Right.
and it's usually black, but nowadays they're changing colors.
Right.
Whereas the charro suit is actually what they wear out in the field,
Right.
and they wear it as gala outfits. Very good looking, and at the same time, it's when they have big fiestas, they wear, you know, their vest and their chaleco and the big sombrero, and at the same time, they take off the jacket, and I mean, they get to town. I mean, these are the skills that they would use out in the field to attend to the herd. Let's say that it needed medical attention. They would go out there and do these. These eventually became the events that we see at rodeos, and they
Right.
continue doing it in some ranches. And as you know, the horse was first introduced to the Americas by the Spaniards. Spaniards slowly but surely trained the Los Indios,
Los Indios.
the ones that took care of their big haciendas. And eventually they came out with some of these skills to test who could do the best in timing and tying, et cetera, and then they would go to the other ranch, and they would go head to head, usually for saddles, things that they would need, things that they couldn't really afford themselves at that time, and eventually, up to now, you see these events almost every night.
It's a competition.
Yeah. So
Major. Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Serious.
So I wear the sombrero hat. I am the master of ceremonies for that. Then you see me in a tuxedo the following night, and I'm in front of the governor, and I'm in front with VIPs all over the place.
Right.
And then you see me with a normal jacket and a tie, and I'm doing some sort of reporting somewhere in the corners of Colorado. And then you see me with shorts and let's say a polo shirt, and I'm playing golf with Paul Chavez.
That's it.
And I'm cheating, but
Yeah.
nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
And I mean, I'm doing what I wanted to do for the longest time, Paul, because I mean, the last 2.5 years, I've actually got to meet my kids.
That's awesome.
I didn't go to their, that's the negative side, is that I didn't have time to go and see what they were doing at school,
It
their
was hard to
play,
make
their
time,
singing.
yes.
That happened to you also.
Yeah, it did. It happened. I tried to get them involved and be a part of. You're going to see my son Jeremy. You remember my son Jeremy?
Yes.
I'm going to throw something at you. Remember we were at the studios of KCEC Univision on 6th and Grand?
Yes.
And there was a little rock that was thrown. And imagine this. It's a 6th-floor building. And the how big are those windows, do you think, Luis?
I would say they were at least 14 by 10.
14 by 10.
Yeah.
Glass-plated windows.
Big
I'm
windows.
making a confession here, Rico, in front of you and in front of Luis, and only it was Luis and I that knew about this. My daughter and my kid's mom came to take me to lunch, and they were trying to get my attention. And I was, right up against the window, and my kid's mom throws a little rock at the corner of the window and shatters the whole thing. We had this sales guy that was a big old lineman for what city? What was
I
that?
think it was Pittsburgh.
For Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Big old lineman, and he ran out there because it sounded like an explosion, right? And he ran out. He was the first one to run out. And here we are, little guys, Ron and I, God rest his soul, running. We never could figure it out.
Yeah.
And
You, Ron, and myself hit the ground like
hit the
we
ground.
were trained to do.
Right. So that night, I was told that they're the ones that did it, and Rico was like, "Oh my God, what happened?" I go, "It must have been a car that passed by and hit it with a rock." And I never told Rico about it, but here it is. That's what happened.
Irma Rico.
Yeah, she is awesome. You remember when we used to do those big sales, and what would be the first thing Rico would do? La botella.
She would bring out the best tequila at that time.
Yes.
And the shots first.
Yes.
Congratulations, staff. That's what I loved about
Oh,
Rico.
man,
I mean,
she's
she
awesome.
would put her personnel first.
Right. General
And
manager
she
at,
would congratulate you,
Uh-huh.
and she would never do anything in front of a large group if there was something wrong. I would say in the many years that we worked together, there was probably 2 or 3 things that went wrong, but I mean, she would understand. We worked around it. We got through it. There was no friction at all.
No.
As a matter of fact, I mean, we were dedicated to her, not the company.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she told me to buy stocks for Univision, and I go, stocks? I need socks. You know? And she became an overnight millionaire buying all those stocks for Univision once we went public. Did you buy any stocks?
No, I didn't have any.
I didn't
I didn't have no dinero at that time.
no bucks.
No.
But as you know, Univision is a big conglomerate now, and it's on the on the national public stocks and all
Yeah.
of that.
Tomorrow I have lunch with her.
Do you really?
As a matter of fact, well, actually we had lunch about 2-3 weeks ago, and she did a favor for a company that I was representing at that time, and I brought in 2 ladies who have this dream of creating their own television online, and I mean, totally green. They have very few ideas as to how things work, but somehow they've been keeping afloat for a year without charging.
Wow.
And I brought them in, and I asked Rico if she could give them a couple of tips. I mean, she was out there almost 2 hours talking to them.
That's awesome.
And I mean,
she would do that too.
they left. I mean, they have a new idol, and
Oh,
her
yeah.
name is Irma Rico. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, the same thing, except this time we're talking about some folks that really want to meet her, and the reason is that they want her to sign her book, and it's Irma Rico, and it's called Living La Vida Rica, because her last name is Rico.
Isn't it Rico?
Yeah, Irma Rico.
Isn't it Living La Vida Rico?
Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to get that book too.
Yeah.
I forgot she's got a book out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, this lady, the general manager of Univision when he first started, she was a daughter of a was it cotton picker in Texas somewhere. I mean, they had nothing, and she's a true success story as to how you can come up and become somebody. Of course, now she's the owner of a big Porsche or Audi dealership over in California, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah, and you'll hear about it tomorrow. Of course, Giovanni had a little something to do with that too.
Yeah.
Her son-in-law.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Luis Canela, man. Luis.
Who should I thank? Well, first of all, I wanted to thank Irma Rico because she's the one that invited me in 1990 to come on over, and I started doing promotions for the station, and eventually
Public service announcements.
there you go. a lot of promotions that we would do, you know, with the small shops, small business people. Eventually, Rico and I got together and we started thinking, you know, we have to do something for ratings. So I went over to Telemundo and I offered Rodolfo an offer he could not refuse, and that was, of course, to come on over and work with the good side.
Yeah. No, get away from the dark side.
There you go. Which he did, and that's the ratings started from that point. But Rico and I, and Paul, you would see us all over the place.
Yes.
We were hand in hand conquering the region. We were creating new venues. We were creating
Absolutely.
new events. We were opening the doors for all these people that said that they never had an opportunity. Well, we created the opportunities. Like what? Well, we started working with the National Western Stock Show, the Broncos, the big things that were going on, the trends. We took care of the trends. We made them ours. We made it to our category. We became #1. And how did we do that? 250 events altogether. Cherry Creek Arts Festival.
I remember that.
Denver Partnership.
Yes.
September 16th downtown.
And
Cinco de Mayo downtown, etc., etc., etc. I mean, the biggest events that Colorado had, we had something to do with it. As a matter of fact, one of the ones that I really loved, and you're going to remember this, Red Rocks, we introduced the
yeah.
idea of having movies up there. That was our idea.
Really?
And it's still going on.
It's still going on. Remember when we did the Tierra? We had
Yes.
Al Hurricane.
Yes.
We had one of the guys from Univision, a spokesperson from the network, came in, and he was all into it. Little Joe La Familia. Let's see who else was up there. I mean, it was a Chicano affair, total Chicano affair, and I'll tell you, that was one of the baddest events I have ever attended at Red Rocks, because the Red Rocks were brown.
Yes,
baby.
yes.
It was beautiful.
It was the first time I've seen actual performers not wanting to go home.
Right. They wanted to keep jamming.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in Red Rocks, man. This is what God built, you know?
Yeah.
So this was awesome. Luis, man, we could go on forever and
Okay.
ever. Who else you got left you want to thank?
I want to thank...
It's okay. It's okay. The music's not going to come on.
No, you know what? I really don't have a list of thanks. Simply that there are a couple of people here in the community who you can say that they're true friends. In this business, you're used not only for your contacts, but at the same time, they have things to do and they see an opportunity and they use you, and of course, sometimes you are willing to help them out. So it's all one hand washes the other hand kind of deal, and that's the way it is. And throughout the years, I've met wonderful people, outstanding people, talented people, people who had no idea that they had something to give, energy inside. Someone asked me not too long ago, Paul, as to, who's Luis Canela? And I said, well, let me see, I'm an Aquarius. No. I grew up in the mountains. No. Who are you really? And then all of a sudden, around the same time, Univision National was kind of like opening minds also with a commercial called ¿Y tú?
You do.
¿Quién eres?
Wow.
And you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
Yeah.
Boy, it took me like 2 weeks to actually come out and say, I'm a bridge. Why are you a bridge? Because I am a person that's always reaching out. If I see two individuals with basically the same passion, I introduce them. If I see that I can do something for someone, I reach out and help them. So I'm kind of like an outreach thing that's always looking to be positive
You
and
know,
help somebody out.
you know, you're saying that. You know what a barash is? A barash is something that you're born with. Okay, it's a not a religious, it's a spiritual thing. It's a barash is something that it's up to you to find it. You're born with it, a talent for you to shine it up, clean it up. And I think you found your barash. Your barash is to bring people together and at the same time do your magic.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to get too spiritual on you here, Luis, but that's what I'm feeling out of you.
Gracias, man.
And,
Put them together, and then I just get out of the way.
There you go.
Let them do their own magic.
Yeah, and if you can get a few cents out of it, well, then get them, right?
You know, that's the funny part is that I've never gone that way. And,
Yeah, I know. You're not doing it for interés.
And people say, well, aren't you missing something there? And I said, not really. I mean, I feel very comfortable, that I introduced them together or that I brought an idea together. You and I have always said that we should be in a think tank.
Absolutely.
Because we think out of the box.
We do. Way out of the box
Yeah.
sometimes. Sometimes we're into the square circle,
Yeah.
but we're out of the box.
Yeah.
Luis Canela, eres bilingüe, you're a great community leader. In my mind,
Thank you.
You have a lot to give to these young people, para esas personas que quieren empezar en the media. ¿Qué es lo que quiere decirles en español?
Damas y caballeros, muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos. Una gran oportunidad aquí trabajar con el legendario Paul Chávez. Este caballero no solamente ha sido un ícono para nuestra comunidad, pero realmente un pilar. La razón que le digo esto es que fue el primero en presentar nuestra música, nuestro lenguaje, nuestra cultura a miles y miles de personas que no tenían ninguna idea de qué se trataba. I just said, Paul, that I'm very proud to be working with you and that you are an icon for our community, pillar of our community. You are the one that opened the door for many, 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 many folks who did not have an idea of our music, our culture, our language. And you made it possible with your charisma and also with your outstanding shows. You've always had that great humor y al mismo tiempo tiene ese gran corazón de ser responsable, dedicado a nuestra comunidad, that heart that's always open, dedicated to the community. You like that bilingual right there?
I love it.
I was practicing all morning.
You're doing good.
Y al mismo tiempo, pues Paul y yo somos amigos desde los 80s por ahí.
Yes.
Cuando yo estaba en high school, en la preparatoria, lo estaba
Awesome.
escuchando en las montañas. Y a través de los años tuve el gran honor de estar trabajando. Hay unas personas en nuestra comunidad que pues también están en este círculo. Rodolfo José Cárdenas sería uno de ellos, que pues siempre cuando uno piensa de personas que están dedicadas a nuestra comunidad. Rodolfo José Cárdenas is currently still working on the air. He's the ex-news director for Univision, and he is doing great. As a matter of fact, can I say that?
Absolutely, yeah. No.
He's at 11:50 a.m. in the morning from 6 to 9. The last 5 years winning all of the awards, Colorado Broadcasting Association for morning shows.
En español.
Best anchor, best news, best personality, best news coverage.
Yes.
It's all right there, and Rodolfo José Cárdenas is doing that in Spanish, continues beating the other
That is awesome. And
top
that's
stations.
And that's an AM station, Rodolfo José Cárdenas. What I really wanted to say, though, because you are such a community leader, there are children and there are people that are coming up in the industry that, what advice would you give, say, a 15-year-old person that's looking at getting to do what Luis Canela has done?
Volunteer. If you have an interest, knock on the door and say, I would like to sit down and just see what you guys are doing. That's what I did.
Right.
Volunteer and say, if you need someone to go out in remotes with you guys and just to see how it feels to be behind the microphone, that DJ will let you talk.
Right.
And he'll teach you, she'll teach you. As a matter of fact, it's really interesting that I am working with a lot of folks that grew up with us, Paul.
Wow.
And they're now on the second generation of teaching youngsters what we taught them. And it's very interesting because when you and I were growing up, we would say, I want to try to be this, or I want to try to be that. And when I went to the school presentations that you were also doing at the time,
Right.
number one queja, the number one thing that everyone would say is, I am very displeased with what's going on in our school,
Yes.
in our community. Why?
Right.
Well, they're always giving the other guys an opportunity,
Yeah.
never us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my solution was, well, you have to be prepared anyway. I mean, you always have to be prepared just
Right.
in case.
And be better.
So what happens? Opportunity comes over, and they say, I can't take it. Well, why not? You were looking for the opportunity. I'm not prepared. You got to do your homework.
Right.
You got to be extra selective as to what you want to do. Can I tell you a quick story?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
You probably heard this before, but it's semi-true. Broncos were going to a Super Bowl, and they took off without their regular media because they had to make room for their family and friends on the airplane. So we were waiting for our own flight. It was a female journalist from the local newspaper, the big newspaper, and we were at the airport, and we were waiting for the seating. There is a coffee area in front of us, and she says, "How about some coffee?" Sure. So she's deciding if she's going to have some cookies or a donut or a quesadilla, and she's looking around. And so I said, I'm going to just get my coffee. By this time, I looked around and I said, I'm going to pay for my coffee. I'm going to go sit down because there's 2 seats over there.
Right.
Airport is full. And by the time she comes back, the seat that was next to me got occupied, but one in front of me opened up. So we were like looking at each other now, eye to eye, instead of side to side.
Right.
Next to her was an old gentleman, a legend.
Is he a writer too?
No. This is a citizen who was reading the newspaper. His glasses were on the tip of his nose, and he gives her the nod, like, good afternoon, and
Uh-huh.
she smiles, and she puts her coffee and her purse down, and
Right.
puts her coat down, and she and I start, talking,
Yeah.
and she gets a cookie, and the cookie that's sitting between her and the gentleman, and she starts eating it, and the guy kind of like moves his newspaper down, and he kind of gives her a smile, like, and she's like, and then he takes a cookie, and she's like, whoa, and she looks at me, and with her big old eyes, and she looks at me and really startled, and I start laughing back, like, well, okay, it's Friday, why not?
Yeah.
So then she's talking to me, and the guy reaches around and takes the second cookie.
Oh, shit.
That's a red flag right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
Her reaction was not being nice the second time. As a matter of fact, she got a little mad there.
Yeah, you're taking my cookie.
She kind of gave him like a little nudge, like, what are you doing, buddy?
Right.
And she's looking at me like, do you believe what's going on here? And I'm like, whoa. So she takes another cookie. I mean, really, like fast, hard, get that cookie over her.
Right.
And the guy looks at her and smiles at her, and it goes back to reading. And she's like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
Right,
What's going on here? The guy smiles at her as he takes the last cookie. And she gives him she gives him one of those dirty looks, like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, and he cuts the cookie in half and offers her half the cookie.
Half of the cookie.
She takes the cookie and she throws it on the ground, spilling all over the place, takes his newspaper, does the same thing, it's flying all over the place. The guy is like totally scared, starts walking away real fast, and she says, that guy is taking my stuff and cookies. What kind of an attitude is this? And the guy's just totally turning red. I'm like, oh my God, God. And he's walking as fast. And everyone there is turning around and looking at the guy. So she's so upset that when we're sitting in the airplane, he's passing by to sit in the back. She starts saying things again. There's the guy. There's the robber. There's the guy that's stealing cookies. How could we be doing those kind of things? And other words that we can't. I guess we could, but I won't.
Yeah.
But he's, again, very embarrassed, and everybody's looking at him again. And she is, by this time, so upset that I had to tell her, you know what? Let bygones be bygones. It's it's over. She goes, I can't believe someone like that would do that to me. Here's the closer. We get to where we were going. She reaches up where her luggage is, but she can't because someone hasn't opened it yet. By that time, this guy is making his way through the aisle as fast as he can. He's pushing people out of the way because he knows how she's going to react. And she sees him from the corner of her eyes. There he goes! There he goes! Everybody, grab your bags, grab your wallets. All this guy, this guy is like, oh my God, I can't believe this lady. And he's perspiring and turning red. And he finally just leaps out of the airplane.
Right.
And by this time, someone does open the lever up, and her bag is right there. So she takes her bag, and she's like, I need the phone. So she reaches inside, gets her phone, and she goes, oh? She goes back into her bag, and she says, oh no.
She got the wrong bag? Or who was it?
What do you think happened, Paul?
I don't know. You got me in suspense here.
In her bag were her cookies.
Oh, they weren't even her cookies. That's a good one.
She felt so bad.
Oh, I bet.
This is a story I always tell the kids when I go to school. Be careful what you say, because at times you cannot take back what you say.
Right.
She went out there and the guy was gone. So now she has to live with this forever.
For her, the rest of her life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So my word is, don't tell lies, because lies eventually will come back to you.
Yep.
Study as much and as hard as you can, because there's a lot of competition. The new technology is taking over. There are not going to be any more jobs. Things that we relied upon in the past to give us jobs have now been replaced by robots,
Yep.
etc., etc.
Including DJs.
That's true.
You know.
So there you see what's going on. High tech is taking over. We are losing jobs to use our hands. And what you see of people working at home might be the new
Norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an honor. Thank you again. As a matter of fact, it looks like I only have 8 minutes. So here we go. I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people have always wanted to tell you. And when I see you with all these superstars that you interview, and I see this show a lot because I learn a lot. You have people who are doers.
Absolutely.
They are all doers.
Absolutely. Alvina Vasquez, she was awesome. You remember her?
Yes.
Alvina Vasquez, an awesome young lady, and I mean, it's just been an honor. 47 years in the broadcast business, but I see you just growing by leaps and bounds. It seems like for you, you're just beginning, my brother.
Yeah.
I see you taking it to another level. And if you need me to carry your luggage or whatever, I'll
cookies,
man. Or cookies, lo que sea, galletas, así es.
No, the people that you've introduced this year, especially when it was so hard for us. It's been a very unusual year, and it's still not over. But I mean, the messages that all your invitees have given us is stay true.
Yeah, stay focused.
Stay true. Believe in yourself, and I really love that. When you and I were working together, I remember that you were always the guy that would make us laugh, even when it was like the saddest time. Things were not going right.
The meetings, they were just waiting for me to come out with something crazy.
There was a couple of things that you did in sales that just crack us up with clients, and the clients they were there to say that they didn't
appreciate it.
They didn't appreciate it, but then they came back and they bought like 3 times more because they loved you. You cracked them up so much. But I mean, it's all humor. It's all attitude at the same time. What we do is actually we're very mental, and people, when they come up to us, don't think that we're having a bad day. Don't think that we are stuck up or diva or anything like that. We're thinking of how we're going to do it, and a lot of times people portray us as being cold, but in reality, Paul and I and other people that I know, we're not. We're actually thinking of what we're going to be saying. We want to be different. We don't want to be the same message over and over.
Right.
And how are we going to do it? Well, we're going to try this. We're going to try that, and eventually things will work out. Now, when Paul and I met, it was so funny because it was like 2 worlds coming together.
Yes.
He was more, again, I was more, mountain folk up there,
Manito, New Mexico,
and he's over here dancing this new things, and I'm like, do you have any norteño music? And then he would put norteño on, he would dance it, and I mean the ambiance. And then when you find someone with Paul's attitude and the magic that he brings and the way that he makes you feel, ladies, here goes the biggest surprise of this interview. How does a man feel loved? Paul does this. He makes you feel like Superman.
Wow.
Make your man feel like Superman, and he'll love you. That's love for men.
There you go.
And for ladies, well, it all depends on how we are with them, and the more that we treat them like number one and very special, of course.
We're going to get a chance to see this because it's in so many different platforms. Luis, we kind of have a vision for what's going on in your life in the real soon. We want to know when that movie's going to come out so we can support it, so we can view it. And of course, you're available for endorsements. How would you feel about endorsing a marijuana shop? Would you do it?
It's
how about you and Snoop Dogg? Would you do it?
Well, I believe so. I believe so.
Because there's some good stuff out of it now.
It helps people.
It does.
It's medicine.
Yeah.
And if it helps someone, why not?
There you go.
Would you be willing to be a spokesperson for anything that would help someone's salud, health?
Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just have to look at it from every
Right.
perspective.
You got to look at it
Angle.
the Colorado way.
Yeah, there you go. Colorado. Ay, ay, ay. You know what, hermano? Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you,
It's
my
an
brother.
honor talking to you. It's something that I've been looking forward to for about 7, 8 years.
Well, I'm
it's
glad finally the button clicked on
Yeah,
your head
yeah.
that says I'm ready to come in.
Yeah.
And, you know, the doors are open to you anytime you
Muchas
want,
gracias.
brother. I appreciate you.
Doesn't it feel like it was only 10 minutes?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
This is the longest interview I've done on Facebook ever.
And,
Okay?
And we haven't even talked about technology.
No, we haven't even talked about Susie Garcia.
No. What happened to her? Beautiful
She's
Susie.
now Susie Kawaja.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
She's the wife of a doctor.
Yeah. Wow.
We're talking about an old sales
Yeah.
lady we used to laugh with. She was always so fun.
Well, you know, next time we have to talk about technology. I mean, you and I started when
Absolutely.
it was reel to reel. Remember those reels?
Yeah. And can I mix it up? Can I cut them up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we went from the 78 speed, and then
To
we
the
went
DATs.
45s, and then we went to long play, and then we went to
The DAT machine, and then the cassette.
The cassette.
And then the 8-track. It looked like an 8-track.
There you go.
But I'll tell you.
You know, the day that I noticed that I better get on it and see what's going on is the day that they sent me a CD.
Via email.
And you walked in on me and you're like, "What are you doing, Luis?" And I'm trying to put the needle
On the CD.
on the CD. I'm like, I don't think they did this right because it's not taking it. And you're like, "Oh."
No.
And then I got to teach you about CDs.
We're up to speed now,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. We got to talk
Technology.
about that later on.
Definitely.
Yeah, pero thank who would I thank?
Henry.
Henry, muchísimas gracias. As a matter of fact, you know, I sent a couple of friends down here, and you guys
Yeah.
were really kind to them, and thank you so much.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I might even take the same advice and come down and talk to both of you guys about
Absolutely,
an idea
brother,
I have.
'cause you can see what's cracking here. And
You know,
how do you like your little poster?
I
we put
love that.
together?
Who did that? Henry.
Mr. Henry Archuleta.
Really? Man, he does a great
you
job.
remember Archuleta Promotions
Yes.
back in the day?
Yes.
That's this guy.
Yeah, I remember him.
That's this guy.
Yeah.
He used to do all the big shows at the Adams County Fairgrounds.
He used to have him packed in there.
Yeah, he did. He
As a
did.
matter of fact, you know, he's a great friend and at the same time very knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah,
He's
he
the
knows.
only gentleman that I really know that he's a master of not only radio but television and then all this online stuff, all this magic that he does. As a matter of fact, I was going to tell you, this studio looks professional. It's got professional lights. It's got like a little the lights for discotheque también. That's all ready to go. I'd like to thank Paul, to all my ex-co-workers.
Let's see if you
because-
can name some of them.
Boy, there's so many of them, Paul. I really couldn't say, but you mentioned one that's always close to my heart is Ronnie Silva,
Ron,
and a
he was
very
so
good
awesome.
friend of ours. He's now in another dimension, but
Yes.
you know, you can't do this by yourself.
No.
You have to surround yourself with people that
Tony Velasco.
yes, that are not same-minded.
No.
I wouldn't say that because then you're stuck.
Right.
You know, you're stuck on the same thought. I've always liked people who are a little bit smarter, a little bit more outgoing than myself, because then I can learn.
And I heard, because I went to do some commercials over at Univision a couple of weeks ago, that Pancho's still over there.
Really?
Yeah, doing the production, the news production.
Yeah.
Rodolfo's brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Juancho.
Juancho. Yeah, I call him
Juancho
Pancho.
Cardenas. Great
Yeah.
guy also.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you know, when you talk about Emmys, he and I won several, and
Right.
it was that combination. Again, there you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's you in this business. It's not 9 to 5.
It's not all glamour.
No, it's not 9 to 5 either. I mean,
No.
you have to be here. You have to work almost 16 hours sometimes just to get projects done, and it's project to project. And the gentleman that's sitting right here is one of those very accomplished artists. He's also, and it says there on his name, legend. That's a true legend right there. He is national award-winning DJ, #1 for many, many years. And not only that, but you can call him a friend.
There you go. But, you know, I'm not on TV like he is because I got to face the radio. Luis Canela, muchas gracias.
Gracias, brother.
May you have a nice Christmas and a new year. But we're going to stay in touch. We definitely got to stay in touch. Stay healthy. Say hi to all those rich people in Vail. And go skiing, I guess.
Vamos!
Okay? Ahí estamos.
Ski fiesta time.
Hey, that'd be fun. Ahí
Here he
estamos.
is, the Night Rider.
Luis Canela on KUHS, The Stream. Thank you all for listening and watching and putting up for our madness. Those of you on Facebook. Love your show. Gotta go.
Thanks for your comments.
Bye-bye.